Hello.
Yeah, Nandini, you are
Yeah,
audible.
Nandini,
You can
you're
start now.
audible. You can start now. Yeah. Okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our Ask Me Anything, that is AMA session on hybrid multi-cloud red team training. I'm Nandini Bharadwaj, the operating officer at CyberWarFare Labs, and I'm excited to have you all here with us today. So, let's begin. Okay, so before we dive into the main topic, I would like to give a little background on our company, that is CyberWarFare Labs. We are an edtech cybersecurity startup that provides a one-stop solution for all your cybersecurity problem. And here we provide practical labs, that is simulation of critical infrastructure such as healthcare, banking, and nuclear, and on-demand courses that includes that ranges from beginner level to professional level, and introduction led trainings that we provide to educational institute, government agencies, and corporate companies. So before we begin our session of hybrid multi-cloud red team training, I would like to inform that we are delivering 3 days training on certified hybrid multi-cloud red team specialist on 18th to 20th March 2023, and the timing will be 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. IST. And like if you want to enroll in that, feel free, and we will be providing video recordings. So if you have any question related to this, you can ask here from our experts, and also you can type them into the question box in your go to webinar text box so that we can have a time for the question at the end. So without further ado, I would like to Yash to take over and resolve all your queries. Thank you. Okay. I guess, yeah, I would like to take over yeah, ask Manisha to take over.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Nandini.
thanks, Nandini.
So
Yeah,
just a second.
just a second.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So we'll start our this session. So basically, a lot of people have a questions regarding how they can start their cloud red team journey, because cloud is now these days is very booming topics coming to markets where most of the organizations are moving from on-premises to the cloud, or they are using cloud only services. Now it's become really important to perform pen testing and red teaming activity against cloud environment to test the effectiveness of the cloud postures, cloud services, how they are mature enough to detect these kind of things there. Now you can see we have a lot of questions asking people around the world that how we can start a journey from the cloud red team. So you can see in this case, when you're going to start a hybrid multi-cloud, when you're talking about hybrid multi-cloud, it's basically combination of different cloud providers, leading cloud providers, along with on-premises traditional Active Directory environment. Now, because why it's important now these days, people are not just looking for a single cloud provider. They are using AWS, Azure, and GCP to serve their different services, along with the traditional that they have like Active Directory environment. So, if you want to start your journey with our courses, first start with a hybrid multi-cloud course. This course will give you the understanding about how organizations set up hybrid multi-cloud environment, how there are security misconfigurations there in different cloud providers, how you can actually exploit these services, as well as this will allow you to understand some of the core services of providers, along with some on-premises setup, on-premises misconfigurations as well as it will help the candidate to understand about how they can laterally move from one cloud provider to another cloud provider, how they can laterally move from on premises to cloud providers, along with the cloud to on premises. So this is targeting for a beginners. Like if you don't have any idea, just start your journey. We will in our 3 days session we will discuss about some of the core services, how misconfiguration are there, how we can exploit it, and how we can actually think about doing a red teaming in hybrid multi-cloud environment when organization are using this one. So this is targeting the beginners who have a knowledge in red teaming, pen testing, other area like network security, but they want to start their cloud red team journey. So you can see this is our suggestion from our end that you can start from here. But there are other courses. Suppose if you want only on, if you want to get an idea only on AWS, GCP, or Google Cloud, or Azure, you can directly enroll these courses. What is the difference between CHMRTS and these individual courses? So CHMRTS cover core services of these three cloud providers along with the on-premises. But when you go for any specific course, like if you're going for a AWS Cloud Red Team, Google Cloud Red Team, or Azure Cloud Red Team, we focus in depth into different services, how the different services are set up, how misconfigurations there in different services, and how we can perform multiple attacks there, as well as cloud red teaming on the single, we can say, cloud providers. So when you want to know specific to any specific cloud provider to perform a red teaming operations, you can go for these individual courses. But what we suggest, first go for hybrid multi-cloud. So you will get an idea about all these three cloud providers. You will get a familiarity of these cloud providers along with on-premises, and then you can also choose the individual one, because individual one give you the better understanding of in-depth knowledge of each and every cloud provider. And at the end, we are going to release in few months that's targeting for advanced editions, where you can perform different defensive vision and all this different advanced techniques there. So so you can see when you are going to start red teaming, you don't have any knowledge on how you can perform red teaming in cloud. But as soon as you enroll in our course, you will get a familiarity with different cloud providers, how they connected to each other, how misconfiguration are there, how a literal moment happen within the cloud providers. And if you are going for any specific one, you will get an in-depth knowledge of, just like recently we organized Google Cloud Red Team, where we discuss about around 10 to 12 different services of Google Cloud, how misconfiguration are there, how we can exploit it, how different methods, because in that case we have a lot of time to cover in-depth uh, uh, in-depth knowledge or in-depth services of specific cloud providers. Once you get all these things, you can go for an advanced version where we are not touching how the fundamentals. We are only touching the latest trend where threat actor are compromising different services to do the actions there. Okay, so if anybody have any questions, you can directly ask me in this point. So in your go-to, you can see you have a question answer box there. Questions box. You can directly ask me the questions if you have anything. Or you can even ask at the end of the sessions. It's up to you. Okay, now I think now let's move to the next one, next slide. So these are our offering as of now that we have. One, we have a hybrid multi-cloud. Then we have a Google Cloud, AWS Cloud, and Azure Cloud training separately. Now the important point coming to picture here is, so suppose how you think a cloud red team is different than the on-premises one or the traditional, internal or external red teaming. How it's different then? Because we know that in a cloud there are multiple cloud providers are there. So attack surface will be huge there in in cloud specific in this case. Second thing, you can access the cloud from anywhere. There's no restrictions like on premises. You have to go the company premises and then you can access it. You can access while sitting in anywhere in the world. So that means it will give from a threat attack from the attacker point of view, it will give a huge attack surface for you to perform, to getting the initial access to do a lot of things are there. Third one is cloud is a new in the market. So when it's a new, there is a very less number of people aware about the security on the cloud side. So how they can provide a fine-grained access to the end users. So in that case, there are a lot of misconfigurations. Cloud by default is a secure, but due to human mistake, there are a lot of misconfiguration are there, and you can exploit those misconfigurations and achieve your objective while doing red team assessment. So you can see there is one flow where we discuss how actually you will start a red teaming assessment on the cloud environment. So you can see when you are going to start a red team assessment, let's see, the first stage what we call called a recon, or we can say ascent. So because cloud is publicly accessible from anywhere in the world, so a lot of services are accessible by default from the anywhere in the world. So it's exposed to the public audience. There is no VPN, nothing is required. You can access from anywhere. If that's the case, there are a lot of services which is exposed directly to the end user or threat actor. So they do also to identify, okay, which organization are using, what are the services on which cloud providers. So without even interacting with the organizations, we can enumerate a lot of information using this OSINT techniques. Yeah, like bucket enumerations, lot of other stuffs are there that you can enumerate while DNS, you'll get to know the DNS, where they hosted the domains, where they have their NS server, mail action server, what type of mail action they are using. Are they using Workspace, or are they using Office 365? Or we can also get to know about where exactly what kind of external identity provider they are using it. They are using Azure, or they are using any external identity provider like Okta, OneLogin. So all these things you will get it without interacting with the organization, because these are the information which is there publicly available when anybody can get those informations. Now, once you get those informations, you use those informations. Suppose when you're talking about Austin, the really good example is like when you because clouds, you can there are two way to interact with the cloud. One is interactive way, and second one is non-interactive way. When I say interactive way, sorry, that means you require a username and password, and you require human intervention to authenticate to the cloud or access the cloud services. There are another way is called non-interactive, where there is no human intervention required. You use some sort of service account kind of things in on-premises. You use those keys to access the cloud services or perform some sort of operation on multi-cloud environment. These keys by default are there in source code, which is there in GitHub or GitLab or any other providers which provide a SVN kind of things there. So what if it's exposed directly to the public audience? They can use those keys to authenticate to the cloud services. So just by having, so we can enumerate the some keys, some sort of other information which is related to cloud, and get access to the organization's cloud environment. So suppose they're using AWS, we can get the AWS access key and we can authenticate there. Now, once are you authenticated to those companies' cloud environments, or means their account which is associated with that company? What you can do, you can do a lot of enumerations, what sort of other services they are using. So that means you already there in their account, and you are enumerating the information. Like in AWS case, you are already there in AWS account, then you enumerate what other services are using by this organization. If you are in Azure, you enumerate that. If you are Azure, you enumerate a lot of information about tenant. Same kind of thing. If it's you're in GCP, you enumerate a lot of information about organization. So this is how cloud providers are segregated or have their security boundaries. So you enumerate the information. Once you enumerate the information, once you identify, so in this case, what happens generally? there are a lot of way to creating a backdoor, specifically in the cloud side. Just like in on premises as well, we are creating a backdoor to add a user account, to getting the reverse shell, adding the some sort of uh, beacons or malware or within their runners account or startup these things. But in the cloud side, there are a lot of ways you can even add or you can inject your backdoor there that will allow you to have a long term access. Now, when you're talking about persistence, the traditional case is you have a persistence just by some Windows or Linux based methods. But in cloud side, there are two kind of persistence are there. One is that focused on operating systems, and another one is that focused on cloud services. Operating system will be the traditional one, right? Like you can have your SSH key, you can create a auto start scripts and a lot of things you can do here. But there are one more services, so you can also create a persistence or backdoor by compromising these cloud services or leverage those cloud services. Like in so let's a very simple example in AWS, you can create a secondary key of your user account. So just like user account have a multiple key, you can create a secondary key. So that means single user account have a multiple credentials. So you can use the secondary key to authenticate. There are multiple different ways to creating a backdoor there. Now, once this, so if you're doing a red team assessment, sometimes your organizations or your client allow you to create a persistence. Sometimes they don't allow you to create a persistence. So it's depend upon how what sort of assessment you are doing it. Now, once you done these things, if you are allowed to create, you can create it. If it's not, what you can do, you can go for a privilege escalation. So you identify what are the permissions are defined there. What are the permissions we can use to escalate our privilege. So similar like persistence in cloud side, there are two type of persistence layer. One is operating system level, just like if you are a known root user, you will become a root. That's there in the VM side. But what about cloud services side? Cloud services also allow you to, escalate your privilege. So you just exploit the misconfiguration of the cloud services, and you can, uh, escalate your privilege there. So you will become a administrator just by exploiting the cloud services privilege there. So that's really important. These two things is really important when you are thinking about cloud red team side. So once you done privilege escalations, you are enough privilege, you can hunt for a credentials. Credentials, there are a lot of different, uh, you know, uh, we can say services which is storing the credentials, just like Key Vault or Secret Manager. These are the services which is actually storing the user credentials, SSH keys, and some other tokens. Lot of things they are storing there. So once you are have enough rights just by escalating your privilege, you can basically exfiltrate or you can get those credentials. So hunt for those credentials and use those credentials to literally move to any other. So suppose in AWS, we are using AWS organizations. So how we can move from one AWS account to another AWS account and how you can compromise the whole organizations. There are different way as well. If you compromise the master account, how you can literally move to the child or member account. Similar like in AWS, we have in Azure, like how you can literally move from one subscriptions to another subscriptions, as well as one tenant to the another tenant. And same thing is applicable for GCP as well. How we can compromise, how you can, literally move from one project to another project or one organization to another organizations. That's called laterally move means expanding your access there. So you are expand your access from single services to the multiple services, single access to the multiple, AWS access or Azure or GCP. So once you reach to the account where we store, where organization are storing our critical data. Data uh, like signing key to sign a software. Data is there in their database, like credit card information, PII informations. Data can be stored there in bucket as well, in file format, object format. So there are a lot of ways we can, actually exfiltrate the data. And in the traditional way, you have to exfiltrate the data from DNS, HTTP, or different protocols. Cloud will make your life so much easy. And from the attacker point of view as well, if you have a huge number of data, like you have some data in your Google stories there, just by supply one single command, you can exfiltrate your data from one Google Cloud account to, or from victim Google Cloud account to your attacker Google Cloud accounts. That's possible even in a snapshot. You can share across your you know across your account as well. So that's the features that threat actor are leveraging to perform these operations. Even when we do red team assessment, this is the methodology we follow. And at the end, once you achieve your objective, so there are multiple objectives can be become a, just like in on-premises, our objectives when we are doing this thing in Active Directory environment, our objectives to become a administrator access or enterprise admin access. Same in AWS, our objective become a root access on master account. When you're talking about Azure, our objective to become a global admin on Azure tenant. Similar kind of thing in GCP is become a super admin on Google Workspace, or organization admin on Google Cloud Project, Google GCP, Google Cloud Projects as well. So there are, depend upon what is your objective is, you can achieve that one based on that objective. So that's, I think, all about. If anybody have any questions, just let me know. Any questions regarding CHMRTS course that we are, the training that we are going to organize in coming 18th to 20th March? This will be the, last training for this financial year. So if you, because from April onwards, we are starting a new one. So if anybody have any questions, let me know. You can directly ask me your questions at box. We'll wait 5 more minutes if anybody have any questions. Any questions anybody have? Otherwise, we'll end our session. We'll wait 3 more minutes. Okay. So regarding the lab access, yeah. So basically, how does this the flow work? Once you attend 3 days, instructor-led training, after that, we will share some sort of Terraform script with you, with belongs to each and every cloud providers. You can practice your own. So once you are comfortable enough, you can request for a lab access anytime. That will be available 24/7. So you can request for lab access anytime, and that will be valid for 30 days the day that you request, that we share the lab access. So once you complete that lab, we won't share any sort of command reference, but we will help you if you are stuck somewhere. At the end, once you complete the lab, we also introducing the exam in our CHMRTS course. So once exam will be 24 hours, 12 hours exam, 12 hours report, the same format that we follow. But we will also introducing the exam pattern in our CHMRTS courses. Okay, so regarding the exam, we have a 24 hours exam. So once you complete your lab, you are comfortable enough, then you can go for a lab. You can schedule, so you can go for exam. You can schedule anytime. You can share your preference slot. You can schedule the exam, and that will be valid for the exam. The duration will be 24 hours, 12 hours to complete the exam, another 12 hours to complete the report. Once you share the report, we have a 80% of criteria. So you need to have 80% that we calculate internally, and once it's done, we will share the result with you. We will also give you two attempt, one attempt. There is one more attempt. Once, even if you got failed, you have one more attempt to, or one more reattempt to clear this exam. This time, yeah. This time we also sharing the basically we're also sharing the recorded video. So if you missed some sessions, you can go and you can watch the recordings as well. Okay, so yeah, Terraform script, basically we will share that you require your own. So we will share the Terraform script. You require your own accounts in AWS, Azure, and GCP, and you can practice there. We have all walkthroughs, so you can just go to the walkthrough and you can practice all these things there. But yeah, 30 days lab will be in RF. So you just no need to worry about anything. We just share one credentials that will be valid for 30 days, where you have to perform a red team operations kind of scenario in hybrid multi-cloud environment to compromise one cloud providers to literally move to the another cloud provider, then literally move to the on-premises the cloud as well. And this is how the structure look like. For this particular courses, we it's basically targeting to the beginners. Beginners means who want to start their red team journey, but you should also require some sort of just like web exploitations, networks, some sort of clouds knowledge as well required. Programming, like if you want to build your script, you can. Otherwise, there is no such requirement for programming here. But you should also require basic fundamental of cloud security, as well as basic fundamental of basically pen testing and that thing. So generally we so one question is how frequently we conduct these trainings. So every 2 months we organize one session, but from the April onwards, this is the last session of this financial year. April onwards, we are going to start in each and every month, probably in different time zone. So as of now, we follow only in PST time zone, but we'll try to organize in different time zone. But at least you can say once a month or twice a month we organize. We are organizing this session. Because apart from hybrid multi-cloud, we have other training as well, like Google Cloud Red Team, AWS Cloud Red Team, and Azure Cloud Red Team as well. Next sessions, date haven't decided yet, so I'm not sure. But probably it will be on end of April. I'm not sure about it, but tentatively it will be in end of April next month. So we have a sessions coming in this Saturday on 18th of March. Any other questions anybody have? Courses, syllabus, you will directly get it from our website. Okay, I think if nobody have any questions, we are wrapping up the sessions. Even if still you have any questions, any query, you can directly reach out to us in our mail. We will definitely happy to assist you in that case. Okay, thank you so much for your time.